size they were and what size they are now. So yes, this is all new, uncharted territory for us. I'm sure some people during the Great Depression and stuff had similar things, and they made do. Some lived off potatoes and onions. That's all they had to eat, so they made it a meal. Hello. Hola. Hola, Wesley. Yes. Hello, Maria. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. Put together of it. See, like one shelf right here. Look at this. Sorry, I got this little glare from my laptop. But look at that. This was some kind of frozen food section. So I took several pictures, and while I was in there, there was this young man walking down the toilet paper aisle and the paper towel aisle. I know it's not funny, but he was walking and he's holding his phone like that, videoing all the shelves. I don't know what else he was videoing other than that particular aisle, and I thought it was pretty nonchalant looking. And here I was taking a picture, so yeah. And I know people are saying that other people are hoarding supplies. Well, just think of it this way. Say you have a stadium, and there's a big ball game taking place. Okay, you don't hold so many people. What if the whole entire population of one city decides they want to go to the stadium that night? There's not going to be enough seats, and chances are there's not going to be enough food. So really, I don't think it's so much a case of hoarding. I just think it's a case of there is not enough supply to keep up with the demand of the population when they all go to the store at once, okay? Because it really wasn't how it was supposed to be, but that's how it is now. So really, the hoarding is really not a case of hoarding. It's a case of we don't have enough supplies on hand to meet the needs of the population. So yeah. Hello. Yeah, the consequences to the coronavirus. The electric ground crew is ready for first contact. Yeah, and I know that there are some different types of scenarios that are playing out here. Some feel that it is like mass arrests that are going to be taking place, and let's see. Some feel that there is an invasion from above coming. Some feel like the extraterrestrials are going to come down. Some feel this is the end of the world as we know it. Well, certainly it's bringing about a change that we have not encountered in our lifetime. This is like unprecedented, what's happening all at once in all the countries around the world. Yeah, so they just closed Anchorage, Alaska. Wow. Hello, Deborah. Hello, Holly. Yeah. Meredith Papaligas, Christine, hello. So hello, Daryl from Texas, San Diego, Adana, Maria. It is scary. It really is scary because, I had a friend who was elderly, and she was able to go into the grocery store earlier in the morning because it was for the senior citizens and those who needed to go in early. And as they walked into the one particular store, this 80-year-old lady walked past her. She looked like she was around 82, and she said, there's nothing left. All the food is gone. And my friend's heart was just breaking inside because she could feel the pain, and there was nothing for this lady because she was like on limited income. And it's hard when you're on a limited income and you can only go to the store ever so often, or you can't get out and there's nothing there. So yeah, it is very hard for people. Bianca and Mino. Yes, that's exactly right. So it's not the end. Oh, it's definitely a new beginning. Yeah, and we're going to just barrel right on through it because you know why? Because we're not going to give up. We're going to stay strong right inside of here because we have this love inside of here, which gives us all the strength that we need to face tomorrow. That's exactly right. Some are saying the dark state and the Kabul will be taken down in the next few weeks. There's no telling what would happen. I would love it. I would love for the world to be free of tyranny. I would, and for good to reign. I would love it. I really would. So yeah, hello Diane. Hello Francis, Elizabeth. Vieria, Campos, Bianca. I like saying Bianca. Yeah, Santiago. What in the world? I know it. Hello, I'm Marty from Ireland. So yeah, this is really, it's really taking its toll. And some people aren't allowed to come out of their house. I'm listening to the radio on the town to get some bread, and they said, even though you may be confined to your home, please go outside and get some fresh air. Yeah, if you're sheltered in place, just go in your backyard, take a deep breath. Yeah, there's the National Guard in New York City. Oh my goodness. Hello, Daniel Acosta. Angie, it is very sad to look at the empty shelves because you see what we once had and now it's gone. Yeah. And a lot of us we've had plenty to eat, but those days may be fast fading away. Martial law is coming soon. Yes, I have heard that martial law is coming soon, and there will be some who will rebel, who don't want to be under martial law, because when martial law happens, then people, they feel like they're being controlled, which you will be under certain curfews, and they will not comply, and then it might get a tad bit ugly. So I hope it doesn't come to that, but it very well could come to that, because it's come to that in other states and other countries. So yeah, you went outside in the sun today. You found great Clorox cleaner that smells like coconut. Oh my gosh. Everything down and washing your hands. Zavi Card. Saludos. Desde Ecuador. Vivo in Salem, Indiana. Bonjour, Marco. Marco Abelelu. Yes. So yeah, that's what's going on. I went to the store and I took some pictures, and it was a tad bit disheartening. I'm going to show you the toilet paper aisle and the paper towel aisle. It's the famous aisles to show. If I can get rid of this thing on here. Yeah, it's kind of empty. Yeah, so that's what happened. And that it's just like, oh my gosh, and you have all different types of brands. I did see maybe 8 real skinny generic paper towels on one corner of the shelf at the end of the aisle. That was it. So, oh my goodness. Hello, Lester Alberto from Nicaragua. Adana, your National Guard is here in Indiana. They have been activated. Adana Bailey, I did not know that. Where are they going to go? And I've also heard that there is an asteroid that could hit Earth. There was something supposed to be coming near this way around 9:23 p.m. Tonight. There was like 4 kind of asteroids and stuff that was going to happen. I know the news likes to make sensationalism out of these asteroids and stuff to add to what's going on. Yeah. Hello, Denise Foster Walker from Palo Alto, California. Ruthie Gary, the Magic Ruthie in California. Hello, Regine Perret from Canada. Hello. Saludos, Beltran de Marco from Puerto Rico. Saludos. Yeah. Well, everything is fine with my family. We're just keeping busy doing things around the house because there's so much to do outside when it's not raining, and there's a lot to do inside, but there's more to do outside since the growing season is almost upon us. I've already planted my sugar snap peas, and I've got 4 bags of seed potatoes in the back of my Jeep, a different variety, because we plant potatoes every year. I need to get those in the ground soon, and some other vegetables. It's best to stay positive on the inside. Most definitely, or you'll go into a downward spiral really, really fast, and that would not be nice. Not nice for you, and not nice for your family that you're around if they see you in a downward spiral, because that energy, they will pick up on that energy, and it won't be too nice. It's best to try to keep your spirits up, and they'll be able to keep their spirits up too, because you don't want to be a big old weight like a big old weight that is sinking in the bottom of a pond or something. Yeah, you bring everybody down with you, or you don't want to be someone who brings down the atmosphere. You don't want to. Cat Smith from the U. Yeah. Ruthie, Gary, you're not alone. You have us. Yes. And I'm sure that there's other people who are alone too. You're not alone. We are not alone. And we have a God above. Okay, and if you don't believe in God, well, you have angels. If you don't believe in angels, well, you have us. You have us, most definitely. Hello, Barry Moore. Thank you for your service to. Are you there? I was getting ready to just type in. They just disconnected me. They did. They cut my feed, and it was kept spinning around in a circle over and over and over. It was so strange. It was the weirdest thing. They disconnected me. But now I'm back on here, yeah, because it was like, it was so weird. That's right, broadcast interrupted. I've been having that a lot lately. I really have. Smith from the U. Yeah. Ruthie, Gary, you're not alone. You have us. Yes. And I'm sure that there's other people who are alone too. You're not alone. We are not alone. And we have a God above. Okay, and if you don't believe in God, well, you have angels. If you don't believe in angels, well, you have us. You have us, most definitely. Hello, Barry Moore. Thank you for your service to. Are you there? I was getting ready to just type in. They just disconnected me. They did. They cut my feed, and it was kept spinning around in a circle over and over and over. It was so strange. It was the weirdest thing. They disconnected me. But now I'm back on here, yeah, because it was like, it was so weird. That's right, broadcast interrupted. I've been having that a lot lately. I really have. So yeah, they did. They disconnected me, but that's why I got ready to log onto my Facebook right here. Just like that. And then my internet came back up. Is that not strange? I got ready to log on, and then the internet, boom, decided it was going to come through for me. So yeah. You just reposted pictures from the Sunspot Observatory from 2018 in your group, Vault 7. That is wonderful. Yeah, that was a very interesting time for me. I had no idea any of it was happening. I am back. My video keeps freezing. Yeah, I guess once they get the 5G in everywhere, I've read in one of the comment sections, I don't know if you all have, in their school systems, when they were shutting down the schools, I don't know if it was within the United States or another country, the teachers weren't even allowed back in. They changed the locks on all the doors to the schools so nobody could get in. I read that in a comment section, but I don't know where it was at. So yeah, I am well. Yeah. So I think that's about it, but I am going to end this video because I'm getting tired and I need to get me a lot of drink of water. I'm having a hot flash. I really am, and I need some hot water. You see, my face is getting a little tan, and it's not even summer. So that's what I'm going to do right now. You watched the latest of your video, yeah, in Kentucky. Lisa Hall, that is wonderful. Alrighty, well, I want to thank you all for coming to the Facebook page or the Twitter or the YouTube, wherever you watch this at, or if you watch it at all, thank you. Because it does help connect us all to one another. And it's good to be able to comment when we can, so other people can read our comments, because we all live in different places. And it's wonderful to know what's going on in different parts of our United States and different parts of the world. It really, really is. See, because we don't have a barrier. We don't, and we don't put up those fences. We'd much rather have those fences down so we could all come together as one and, you know, communicate and socialize. So I think it's wonderful to have social media. I really, really do. Hello, Mickey Smith. Mickey from the UK. Hello. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'm going to get off of here. I really am, because I really do. I want to have a drink of cold water. So thank you all, and I'm going to try to put together a video. Actually, I took the pictures, and I was just cropping some stuff. I've got to put it together in a video and compile it, and then upload it. So it might take me few hours. It all depends on what I start doing around the house. But since it's getting late, I should be able to put together a video before the night's end. So thank you all once again. So I'm just going to say goodbye for now. Yeah, you wish you could play a grand piano. I don't have a grand piano. I don't, but okay. So have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and remember, we're not alone. We're never alone, okay? Hello, Luciano, acupuncturista, facilitator de curas reconnect. It is. We've enjoyed this interaction.
We live in strange times. The housing bubble burst, rise of China, and the rise of inequality. Health is a very big deal. Taxes are Good morning.
It is. We've enjoyed this interaction.
It is a hot seat, by the way. Yes, Abraham. I'm here to learn how to open up to the universe and let things flow to me. In my business, I've got a responsibility to raise money for land investments, and I'm trying to figure out how to meet the right people to allow myself to do that for my company.
We liked every word that you said, and we're going to help you to understand what's going on in your vibration that prompted those words that is in your way, and what's going on in your vibration that prompted those words that's right on track.
Great.
So, I want to understand. Those are really good words. I want to understand. And what those words bring to you are opportunities to understand. You see, here's the difference between I want to understand and I want the solution to my problem. I want to understand means I want to know, and you know words don't teach. So when you want to understand something, then your business, the very business that matters so much to you, is giving you opportunity to understand. Because through it you can feel what's working, what's not working. So we want to begin by saying all of that is underway. When you say responsibility, we want to focus for just a little bit on what a feeling of responsibility feels like, because responsibility feels over here, sort of on the not good feeling end of the emotional scale, while fun or fulfillment is on the other end. And so it's really interesting how the answer to your query or your question is, you just have to find a way to stand in an expectant place rather than in a worried place, in a I'm evolving and this is fun place rather than a I'm responsible and I have a timeline place. It's about finding a way for you to chill. It's why we started talking about the grid. We've been talking about the grid from the beginning of our interaction in this way by talking about your point of attraction, that you live in a vibrational universe that is attraction-based, and you are at the center of what you are attracting. So if you are feeling responsible and worried about things not happening the way you want them to, then there is no action that will be inspired to you that will help you out. But when you understand that you're not responsible, you're a point of attraction. And the reason we say not responsible is because you're not responsible for everybody else's point of attraction. You're only responsible for your point of attraction. So if we said to you, all you got to do is find a way of feeling good, and everything that you want, because you've already put it in the vortex, would flow to you, what would be your response to that? If we said, all we have to do is figure out how to get you to chill consistently, so that when something goes wrong, you say, oh good, something to learn. Esther broke a whole shelf full of beautiful things one day, and Jerry said, oh good, more things to buy. And he meant it. He meant it. He wasn't lamenting what was lost. He was only excited about a space to put more things because it's fun to have them flowing in, you see.
Sure.
When we say to you, all you have to do, the only thing you have to do, the singular thing you have to do, is to recreate, recreate.
Play golf.
Yeah. When you play golf, do you feel guilty?
No.
When you play golf, do you think, oh, I should be doing other things?
No.
When you play golf, do you think,
Where's that ball? But yeah. However, that's still fun. You're outside.
is playing golf occasionally preparing your grid?
Sure it is.
Is playing golf
all the time preparing your grid?
No,
Why not?
I don't know.
Well, because first of all, you don't want to do the same thing all the time, and because there are other things that are important to you also. That, while that is relaxing, that's not as layered, that's not as rich. That doesn't have the potential of being as rewarding. And we say that because we see everything that's in your vortex. So, if some of that is helpful, but all of that would not be helpful, can you isolate or feel, just going to take a minute here, identify, isolate, focus on the feeling of fun and clarity and vitality and exuberance that you feel when you're playing golf. Feel the freshness of the air, the vitality of your body, the camaraderie of those that you're playing with. Focus there on that good feeling. And would you call it satisfying?
Yes.
Would you call it a sort of eagerness?
Sure.
Interesting, satisfying. So, can you find those feelings relative to this work project that you're describing? Are there potential components in that? Is it fun for a new idea to flow to you?
Yes, it
Is
is.
it fun to discover that you've got a skill that you didn't know you had, or to do better with that skill now? Were you a good golfer the day you started?
No.
And do you revel in the improvement that you see every time you play?
Yes.
And do you play to present yourself in identical ways, or are you eager for new mixes,
Just to have the fun.
new wind currents, new slopes,
Opportunities for learning.
new opportunities, new co-creation with others? It's not the same old, same old. You're constantly flexing into improvement and taking satisfaction from all of that. And isn't it exactly the same way in your work environment? So don't you want an opportunity to stumble a bit? Don't you want to drive it off in the bushes again? Only to remember that's not what you intended and that you want to focus a little more clearly?
Take that second shot.
And don't you like knowing that every time you do it, it gets better, but you never get it done? That you never get so good, no matter how good you get at it, no matter how many U.S. Opens you've won. They don't win every time, do they? It's quite a variety that goes on. They're really, really good, but it is not a sure thing. And that's what keeps it interesting. Because it's not a sure thing. Stronger and more focused. So, don't you feel more eager about your work now?
I do, and I'm going to make sure I get some golf. Into the schedule.
Well, we know
Not
that
every day.
we know that we play every day. We know that we have ignited.
Wow!
Than the other word. But realize that
It's just, well,
the feeling of fun is focus without resistance. That's what fun is. And so, whether you call this fun that you're having, it's really fun to match wits with someone who is really good at it. It's really fun to have conversations that go into places that you've never been before and feel the expansion of that. It's really fun to get new insight about your very own business. It's really fun to have really good timing. It's really fun to be inspired from broader view, from non-physical perspective, who knows everything about what you want, everything about where you are, and everything about everything between where you are and where you want to be. Who's offering constant impulses, and it's really fun to tune into those impulses. And that really is what we're talking about here. Just finding more ways, more reasons to feel good, because in feeling good, you tune into the impulses. And when you tune into the impulses, then life is satisfying. And we want to say, we're going to say it all day, we're going to say it to everybody that listens, we're going to say it to everybody that sits here. We want it to be fun too, even when you've driven the ball off into the bushes. We want it to be fun when it's off in the rough. We want it to be fun when you're so far behind that there's no possibility of ever catching up and that you're just going to look foolish in the way you've played today. We want that to be fun too. We want that to be fun too, because the game that you're playing in isn't a game that you're competing with anyone else. It isn't a game where anybody outside of you is taking score. It's only the game of how much alignment did I accomplish right now and how much fun did I achieve in the alignment accomplishment. That's all that it is. And the manifestations, the realizations, the actualizations, that's just the stuff that is inevitable. But it's not the reason you play the game. It isn't the reason you play the game. Good thing, too, because those manifestations are a minuscule part of the life that you live. Percentage-wise, manifestation, that much. Everything else is what life is, you see. We liked that.
Me too.
Do you feel resolved? We didn't tell you one thing to do except chill out. Can you do it?
I think that's good.
And why do you think that we didn't find it necessary to guide you toward any specific action?
Because I probably already knew that.
Because you know all the things to do. You know everything to do. The only differences are the timing of when you do the things that you do. When you call somebody, be nice if they're there. And when they're there and you call them, be nice if they're up to speed with you so that they can hear what you say. And be really good to get impulses so that you rendezvous with those who are cooperative components so that you're not butting up against those that aren't cooperative components.
Very interesting.
But isn't it nice to butt up against some uncooperative components? Because it causes you to focus and it makes you go play golf.
Thank you.
Really good.
Thank you very much.
On the aisle, right there. Stand if you think it's you. Further back, further forward, right there. So, do you live in a vibrational world? Are you vibrational beings? Do you read your vibration through thought? You read your vibration through emotion? It pleases you to think thoughts? Thinking thoughts is as delicious as eating? Thinking thoughts can even be sensual? Thinking thoughts can be tactile? Because thinking thoughts produces emotion, and nothing is more sensual than emotion. So, thinking thoughts causes emotional movement, and emotional movement can be equated to molding things into place. So as I begin to feel my way through things, I'm actually creating through the moving of energy. So, my thought comes first, and then the emotion follows. But by reaching for the emotion, I can direct the thought. Ooh, worth thinking about. The thought comes first and the emotion follows, but by caring about the emotion, I can direct the thought. Because you can hook into a feeling. And by hooking into the feeling, you'll set a vibrational tone, and then law of attraction will bring the thoughts that are equivalent to that. See what we're getting at? Where if you think the thought first, and the thought's off kilter, and now you're trying to think a better thought, it's much harder, isn't it? So the new book is, I create with my belly. No, that's not good. My guts are out there ahead of me. We're reaching for the mass market.
My passion is growing things, fruits, vegetables, nuts, flowers. My produce is the passion of all the squirrels in the area. My husband shoots the squirrels. And even though
Is there a market for squirrel?
not that I know of, I believe in the sanctity of life, but I also want to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And so what's the answer to this dilemma?
Well, it seems, we know it does, that the critters are drawn to your gardens. And to some degree they are, because they do want to eat. But what really starts a send out your vibration, you send out an advertisement that brings them from further and wider than they would have come. In other words, the word on the street wouldn't carry as far as your vibrational advertisement, you see. So it's one of those things where you say, stop eating my garden and I'll feel better. And we say, feel better and they will stop eating your garden. Only you say, but I didn't feel bad before they started eating my garden. In other words, I don't think that I was worried about them eating my garden and that's what's attracted them. And we say, but if you put it in perspective, if you realize that everything becomes more and more and more, the more attention you give to it. In other words, when you are aggravated to the point that you are taking guns and killing them, there is a strong attention to them, you see. And what we've been talking about just before you came here is a very good basis, because it's hard to accept that your garden is a vibrational garden because it feels so tangible, and it's hard to accept that the critters are vibrational critters because they're right there munching. It's hard to accept that it is a vibrational world. We know it is. But when you tend to things vibrationally instead of physically, you have far more power than you know. We've talked to so many people who have had pests of all kinds, and the more attention you give to it, the bigger it gets. It's just law of attraction, law of attraction, law of attraction. Sometimes you might say, well, even if I could clean up my vibration about it and relax about it, maybe I'll plant more, and maybe I'll leave some of it unfenced where they can get to it easily. And so maybe I'll make a garden for them and a garden for me, and I'll tend their garden less. I'll leave it to them to tend, but I will plant it and I will make sure it's there. And it seems like a cooperative thing, but why should I have to do that? And we say, do it for the fun of it, see what happens. Do I have the power, you might ask, to create a garden and make it squirrel-proof? Can I put a vibrational fence around it? And we say, your attention to it is what attracts everything to it. Your negative attention to it is what attracts the negative things to it. Is there a way that you could make peace with the squirrels? Do they come in great quantities? Do they nibble on every single thing? Do they ruin everything completely?
A nibble here, a bite there, just enough to ruin it for anyone else.
And is that really? Now we get the picture of that, but is it really ruining everything for everyone else?
Not everything, but a good portion.
And so is it conceivable that you could offer something to the squirrel that it might eat instead of your garden?
I don't know.
You tried it?
No.
So you have not welcomed the squirrel in any way. You
Well,
just felt completely hostile toward the squirrel.
There's a lot of fruit that falls to the ground that they're welcome to. I know they're just trying to make a living too. But I share fruit with a lot of people, and it's a lot more appealing when it doesn't have bites taken out of it.
Well, we know that it feels like something needs to be done. But this is another one of those wonderful examples where the squirrel is helping you to realize that there's nothing that you can really do that will make the difference. It's something that you have to achieve vibrationally. And the wonderful thing about animals is that they are so willing to cooperate because they understand your vibrational language even better than you communicate it to one another. So here's what we would recommend. It may take you a little while to work yourself into this, and we will talk afterward about some incremental steps to get there. But this is really the place that you want to be. You want to be able to stand in your garden or near it, or even standing and thinking about it, and take it all in and feel appreciation for what it is. And then say to yourself, I'm opening my garden to all who will benefit from it. I'm opening it to the vendors who will benefit from it and the people who will eat from their bags. I'm opening it to the water and to the soil full of nutrient and to the squirrels and birds that may want to participate. In other words, I am really giving my garden up in the attitude in which I have planted it. For I'm not planting a selfish garden. I'm planting a garden of appreciation. So rather than thinking about what could go wrong with my garden, or what has gone wrong with it, or rather than thinking of what I may be deprived from as I apply my hard work and attention and then something detracts from it, instead of thinking about me getting mine from my garden, I'm going to think about it being an offering of appreciation. I'm in alignment with the rhythm of this physical time-space reality and the universe. I am appreciative of the intelligence in the seeds that I plant, and I'm appreciative of the weather patterns and cycles that keep my earth productive. I am appreciative of the economy that brings people to me. I'm appreciative of my intellect and my physical ability. I'm appreciative. And as you turn yourself completely to this not exercise but impulse of appreciation, where every thought that you think about your garden is one of appreciation. Appreciation for all who come and for all who make it what it is. Anything that is out of sync with that vibration will go someplace else. And in that rhythm, you see, there is this broader view. People worry about global warming or overpopulation or endangered species or planetary imbalance. And we want you to understand that all of that is tended to from this broader perspective of well-being. And that while there can be pockets of not well-being, which are literally places that are shaded or shadowed from the well-being that is flowing to them, that the well-being of this planet and the orchestration of its population is tended to from broader perspective. So, as you have had your contrasting experience and know what you don't want, which has caused you to know what you do want and put it powerfully in vibrational escrow, and then you get on these rampages of appreciation where you deliberately tune with the vibrational escrow that those pesky varmints have helped you to create. What happens is the resources of the universe and the orchestrators of all things work in concert with who you now are being, which is in vibrational alignment with them. Jerry and Esther have noticed that where they live in Texas, the hills are abundant with deer. And everybody's worried about too many of them. And occasionally someone will ask us about it. And we say, you don't need to tend to, as man tends to those kinds of situations from his guarded or imbalanced, disconnected point of view, he always makes things worse. This is your opportunity for you to show yourself the cooperation of the universe relative to something that matters to you. What we're saying is simply, let your vibration of your garden only be appreciation, and while an occasional squirrel will come and nibble, it will not be disproportionate. You will find yourself winking at the squirrel or squirrels and saying, understood, but the proportion, the ratio will change so dramatically that you will know that you've come into alignment. Okay. It is a frequent thing for beasts of your universe to teach you who you really are by them being who they really are. And a wonderful thing about them is they refuse to defy their true nature just to please you. They force you to do the only thing that works anyway, which is to deal with things vibrationally. Oh, there's that word again.
Okay. One other question. Is there life as we define it on other planets?
Well, you snuck that little qualifying expression in as we define it, and you're opening us for all kinds of things.
I
because
define it
man
as
is sort of
maybe
wacky.
any thinking organism, an organism that has the ability
Yes,
to think.
there are many other places other than this, what you call this physical dimension, where consciousness exists and creating abounds. And none of them will ever fly to you in their spaceships and co-create because you are vibrationally different.
Okay.
In the same way that you are interacting with us and we are not here rooted in your physical realm, you do have vibrational access to a great many things beyond what your reasoning mind can understand.
Okay. Now I know everything I need to know.
Yes, you do.
Earlier you said you want us to reach for the feeling of the vortex rather than the stuff that we've put in there, or the relationship or the bodily condition. Is that something?
Well, it's a shorter trip because if you need to envision the stuff in order to evoke the feeling, in the envisioning the stuff, it could go badly for you.
Right.
But if you have isolated the feeling and you're reaching for the feeling will then engender the thought. In other words, the feeling can drive the thought. Now, technically speaking, the way it works is you think and then you have a feeling response. But if you can linger in the feeling response, then you hold yourself in the vibrational place where law of attraction will now bring you the next thought that matches the thought that engendered the feeling response. Did you get that? We'll say it one more time. When you think a thought, first of all, the feeling, the emotion that you have is response to the thought. But even more, it's response to the two thoughts that are going on. It's the response to the two vibrational vantage points. There is the vantage point of the source within you, and there's the vantage point of you, and your emotion, your feeling, is what those two thoughts accomplish as they blend or don't blend together. So feeling follows the thought. So you think and feel and think and feel and think and feel and think and feel, but before you know it, you're feeling and thinking, feeling and thinking, feeling and thinking, feeling and thinking. You see what we're getting at? So if you deliberately think the best feeling thought that you can find, which causes you to feel, and then you enjoy the feeling, you milk the feeling, you talk about what it feels like to be secure, you talk about what it feels like to know, you milk it, you enjoy the feeling, so you hold yourself in the feeling longer. That means you hold yourself in the vibration longer. Now, law of attraction is responding to the vibration that you've discovered longer, and now it's bringing you more thoughts, more vibrations that match those, and off you go.
So earlier you were asking us to recall a high-flying moment. Would you say that using memory or using present moment experience that we find easy to appreciate, is that the easiest way into the vortex? And then
we really think that if you're alerted to the idea of it, and so you're watching for a high-flying moment, that when you find one, it would be an easy way to maintain it. Trying to remember one could accomplish the same thing. In other words, whether you're discovering a new one or remembering one you've already lived, you're still focused upon a feeling which will solidify a vibration which will produce more.
is this now you can do this from outside the vortex or inside the vortex.
Well, here's what we are submitting. Let's say that you're just bipping along and you're not really in the vortex. Let's say you've been visiting with friends, paying your bills, listening to the news somewhat, observing a not very good weather day, and let's say that you're not necessarily in the vortex and not really aware whether you are or not trying to be in. There's nothing that will keep you out of the vortex longer than being aware that you're not in and trying to get in. because it's like noting your failure. It's trying too hard.
So what do you do in that scenario?
So what we are encouraging is that you just sort of give it a rest and make peace with what is, and say things to yourself like, all things in good time, and I'm right on track, and things are working out fine, and things are getting better. In other words, just try to give yourself a break. Even better, meditate or do things. That's why runners are often in the zone. That's why people who spend a lot of time on the road are often in the zone. In other words, do something that sort of takes you away from the details of what might be bothering you. And in doing so, in other words, we really want to emphasize that in the moment that you stop doing that thing you do that holds you out of the vortex will take you in. So meditation stops thought, which stops resistance, and in you go. Listening to music that makes you feel good can take you in. In other words, there are all kinds of things that you do. We're just encouraging you to watch for them and to do them more often.
So where does the focus wheel come in with that? Because I think what you're saying is get off the subject sometimes, and then other times you're saying focus wheel it. Is that why you recommend doing the focus wheel the next day? Well, I mean, you don't necessarily recommend it, but you're saying this is what Esther does. She walks around, she writes down.
Well, think about the sequence of events that we are encouraging. First, basking yourself asleep, then appreciating yourself awake, and then from somewhere near the vicinity of the focus wheel, now addressing things that yesterday felt off from your now place of being closer to the vortex. In other words, it's like waiting until life gives you an easy entry to the vortex, and then milking being in is a much better approach than discovering yourself outside and trying to demand yourself in. It's like the difference between knowing someone, shouting at yourself in the mirror or at a friend, get happy, don't you know you create your own reality, get happy, and just finding a moment where you feel happy. Because there are so many moments that feel happy, aren't there? Don't you have a moment or two, a happy moment or two naturally in every day? Do you? Or don't they show up every now and again? And so what we're suggesting is when one shows up, grab it, identify it, recognize it, describe it, milk it, maintain it, practice the vibration of it, and then more like it will show themselves to you immediately.
So then it's accurate to say, don't try and do a focus wheel from outside the vortex to get in.
But what we've noticed, as we speak what we know, and then we visit with you who are making your effort to then know what we know, we notice that almost every time we offer a process, you try so hard you counteract the effect of the process. So, in the beginning we said, when you want it and believe it, it is. But it's one thing to want to believe it, and it's another thing to believe it. And wanting to believe it when you don't believe it can reach the point of being counterproductive. So sometimes it's better just to leave the desire there, non-contested, and in your non-contesting of it, the universe will show you a reason to believe it. The best common or chronic emotion that we would encourage that you hang around in is one of hope. Because if you can hang around in a hopeful or somewhat optimistic vibration, you're close enough to the vortex that it will just suck you in and show you what you want to see, and suck you in and show you what you want to see, until it will make a believer out of you. And when you believe, then you've got it made. When you believe. In other words, have you ever had the experience where you had a viable way that you felt secure in of making money, And because you believed it, the money came, and because the money came, you believed it, and because you believed it, the money came, and because the money came, you believed it. So you just had a sort of cycle that you could not lose going on.
Could you define what hope is? Is hope just saying I want this and I think I might be able to get it because I see other people have it, or what?
Well, that your pinning us down in this way is really pointing out what we're reaching for in this discussion. We would like hope to be a less analytical, thoughtful process and more of an emotional sensation. Don't you really know the difference between hope and doubt?
Yes.
The difference in how it feels. Hope feels free, lifting. Doubt feels heavy and icky. Doubt feels empty. Hope feels fuller. In other words, we want you to begin to define these feelings. Haven't you had the experience of feeling pretty good and then have someone walk into your life and deliver negative commentary about something? And at first you feel a sort of aversion to it, and then out of politeness you settle into it, and then as you listen a little longer you feel less good, and the longer you listen the less good you feel, and before you know it they've hooked you and now you're contributing, but you can just feel yourself emptying out. You can just feel yourself emptying out. You can feel the life being sucked right out of you with this conversation. You can feel it happening, you see. And that's what we're talking about. You're feeling your emotions or your guidance letting you then understand your vibrational content. So we can talk all day about the vibrational content of thought, but the thing that's so interesting is that the vibrational content of thought in and of itself is meaningless. You could take all of the facts in the world and stack them up against other stacks. They are meaningless except as how they apply to the thought that the source within you thinks. In other words, everything is relative. The subject of relativity is really what we're talking about. If you haven't expanded over here, then a contradictory thought won't make you feel uncomfortable. But if you have expanded over here, then a contradictory thought will make you feel uncomfortable. And an aligned thought will fill you with life, you see. So rather than talking about the rightness or the wrongness of thoughts or words or actions or concepts, we just want to talk about you as expanding beings and how far you've expanded, and we want you to follow your gut, follow your bliss into alignment with who you are, you see.
And are you refreshed?
Good.
You're ready to play our silly game?
Yeah, I'm ready to do it your way.
Just give it 30 days. And if you haven't found exaggerated transformation in all areas, then go back to what you were doing before.
Okay, I'm here with you, all these beings in this room. Everyone's supporting me. I'm gonna go back into my reality, and by Monday I think, that all the same.
Now what's beginning to happen here is you just about used this moment to do a virtual reality that wouldn't feel so good. And you could have just as productively used this moment to do a virtual reality that feels good. We're not in any way wanting to face any reality. We don't want you to tell it like it is. We don't want you to explain what might happen or what probably will happen. We only want you, when you're making the effort to do a virtual reality, to make an effort to do a virtual reality that really feels good. We're not saying that you won't revert back. You will. And we're not saying that it's wrong. It's natural. This one experience of playing with us is not going to change your vibration forevermore. It might not change anything very much. All we hope for in this virtual reality is convincing you that a virtual reality is a good feeling place to go. And we're hoping that it feels good enough to you that you're willing to sort of tough it out a little in the beginning and go there. Esther went to her first virtual reality from a place of not feeling very good. She did it because she felt like she should. And she wants to live what Abraham teaches through her. One day they were checking into a campground and they were sort of late in getting there, and some things had been sort of uncomfortable, and the woman
Esther said, it's about having a day different than the day I had today. She said, we don't live it, we just teach it. And she's being playful about it because everyone loses their connection from time to time. You want to be really easy about that. You just want to, when you are practicing a virtual reality for the purpose of shifting your vibration into a place that allows your dominant vibration to be something that matches what you want, then make an effort to do those virtual realities that feel good. And catch yourself when you are doing those that don't feel good. Esther would catch herself in the middle of a sentence that goes something like, well, you know, what I've been worrying about isn't that the perfect setup for a negative virtual reality? What I've been worrying about is, now let me see if I can't focus on it, chat with you about it, and activate it into a whole new place here. Where what you're wanting to say is, well, wouldn't it be nice if, or what I've been thinking would be nice if. You're just wanting to find moments in time because your life is about a string of moments in time. It's not about your career and where it's going. It's not about the world and its acceptance of you. It's not about what your body or your financial condition is becoming. Your life is only a series of now. So often, you stand in your now, unhappy, trying to improve a future moment. Well, work really hard so that I can have fun on the weekend. Or I'll work really hard and I won't spend that money. I'll save that money so that I can retire. Or won't it be nice when I don't have to do this anymore? And what we're wanting you to do is mine this moment, because this moment is where life is. And mining this moment doesn't mean looking at this reality. And mind if it's really good. If you're in Utah on the skis, mine that moment. Take it in. Smell it in. Suck it in. Get as much of it as you can. But if you're not in that moment, and you could use that moment to enhance this moment, then use that moment to enhance this moment, because this is your moment. This is where you're feeling, you see. Jerry had a wonderful awareness recently. He awakened from a very vivid dream. He said to Esther, I realize that I am the creator of that dream. That green manifestation is my creation. I put all the people there. I gave them their attitudes toward me. I gave me my attitudes toward them. I put the words in their mouth. So if someone is rude to me, it was my creation. If someone was kind to me, it was my creation. The way I felt in my dream was my creation. And of course we say it is true in your dreams and it is true in your real life experience. So now as you say, I'm causing the vibration that is evoking everything to me, then what could be more advantageous than to take a moment here and there to practice a vibration that is advantageous to you, and practice it until it is the strongest muscle. They're visiting with a lovely woman not very long ago, and she wanted to talk about her little girl who didn't want to sleep in her bed at night. She said she was afraid of spiders. So he said to this mother, what happens with spiders in your house? And she said, well, we don't make a big thing about spiders. And we said, well, tell us what happens with spiders. What happens when you find a spider? And she said, we vacuum it up. And we said, and how many spiders might you find in a day? And she said, well, 3 or 4. And she said, and our little girl is the one who finds them. And when she finds them, then we vacuum them up. So we said, well, so what's happening is she sees your reaction to the spiders. In other words, it's big enough that somebody goes to the trouble of getting the vacuum cleaner out. And whatever's happening, whether it's dinner or anything else, it stops. And everyone puts their attention upon, keep your eye on it, keep your eye on it, don't let it get away, keep your eye on it, 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 I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Do you know where it is? Can you still see it? Until it feels like it's something that's really important. And now she's in her bed at night and it's dark. And she knows that the spiders are still there. And even if she knows that they're there, there's no one there to bring the vacuum cleaner. We said years later in her therapy session. So now, what are we talking about here? We're talking about this little girl observing her environment and having an activation about spiders happening within her. So that years later, she may not even remember the incident. She might not even remember the vacuum cleaner. She just might have this extreme aversion to spiders and not even know what it's about. And so many counselors will say, well, that's why it is of advantage to get back in there and figure out all of the things that happened in those early stages so that you can sort of clean them up and put them in the right place. And we say, but that's a lot of house cleaning. In other words, that would take more time than your lifetime could yield you. Instead, just say, I'm going to, in the same way that that incident with my well-meaning parents activated within me a vibration that does not serve me, I can damn well go to a virtual reality today for 30 seconds and activate a vibration that does please me on purpose.
I mean, what I'm getting is, I got all these spiders in my life, leave them alone, go and play.
Well, what we said to this mother about the spider, because the spider was so in their face, we said, how do you feel about spiders? And she said, I'm not bothered by them. And we said, well, what do you think about just getting a piece of paper and getting a little spider to crawl on it, just putting them outside with an attitude of go and play and have a happy day. In other words, there's room for all of this. And that's hitting it a little more head on than we're really wanting to do with you, because we're really not wanting you to fix the spiders. What we're really wanting to do is just not notice them so much while you notice some other things, because we know about law of attraction, we know what then will happen. With a little bit of practice, it is just as likely for you to sit in this chair and have someone try to discourage you and you be unwilling to be discouraged. In other words, that's what it's like for Esther to live with Jerry these days. Esther can get in a bad mood and want him to kind of come with her, and she sort of pokes at him with a stick, and he holds, most of the time, tenaciously and annoyingly to his good feeling place. In other words, he's been practicing. He's not going to budge from it, you see. And you could as likely be in that good feeling place as a result of your practice as in a not good feeling place as a result of your practice, because it's all as a result of your practice, whether you are consciously knowing that you are practicing it or not. It's like, what kind of virtual reality is going on with you when you turn on the television and you see that endless stream of commercials that is designed to activate your feeling of vulnerability relative to your body? Esther saw a commercial the other day. She could not believe it. A beautiful little girl looked just like Tracy when she was that age. Blonde hair, she had on a little cotton dress. She's skipping down the street, and Esther looked at the commercial. She was drawn to it because this beautiful little girl reminded Esther of her beautiful little girl. And the commercial said, she's 6 years old, and her mother had early stages of breast cancer and was properly insured and treated. And Angela is on her way to play with her mother. And then they showed the same picture again, only not in color. This is Angela. Her mother did not have insurance. And so she did not find the early stages of her cancer. And now Angela does not have her mother. Every vulnerable feeling was activated within Esther. All those feelings of how mothers need to be there for their children and how things that Esther thought she'd left far behind. That commercial powerfully and professionally and exactly knew how to activate within Esther. Where do I sign? Where do I sign? Give me the stuff. What does it take to prevent that from happening? In other words, all of that is activated. And so we know that stuff happens. And you observe it, and it's exaggerated, and you pick it up, and you develop these patterns of vibration. We're just saying you don't have to stay stuck with what you've gathered up. You can practice a little bit, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds, 30 seconds here, and in 30 days be in a whole different place than you are right now. That's all it takes.
I just think you make it sound like it's so easy. I think I feel...
It isn't easy at first, but it gets easier.
I feel like, you don't hang, you're in form, but you don't hang out in form that often. I'm in this body, and I'm in form, and it's not a happy place. And I'm gonna worry about. I'm gonna worry about the spiders.
And do you know that in this body, when you are skiing, it's the best that it is anywhere, anytime.
Right, but it's such a small moment.
That's why you came into this body. You said, I want to fly on the skis in the snow, and I can't do that as non-physical energy only. I've got to be in physical form to have the full physical, visceral experience of the deliciousness of this environment. You lucky physical duck.
It's great when that happens. It is. It's really nice. But that is a small part.
Oh, don't give us
It
this
is, okay.
I'm physical and you're not physical, because what we're going to give right back to you
Don't hang it up.
what we're going to give right back to you is your non-physical in physical body. And the whole thing that we're wanting to get you to do is to bring the physical into a vibrational place that allows the fullness of the non-physical. Because you're right, when you're physical and you're focused in some funk that doesn't allow the fullness of who you are, that sucks. That does. That is not who you are. That is not who you are. You are pure positive energy, and you got just a whiff of pure positive energy, and then when you went back into the vibration that is a little more natural and normal, you felt the pain of it. In other words, you did not want to go, and that's what you're reflecting to us here. I want to get to that blissful state where I allow myself to feel the exaltation of the pure positive energy that is me. And we say, practice it, please, just practice it a little bit, just practice it a little bit, just practice it a little bit. It will get so much easier for you because it is the true nature of who you are. And the reason you feel such pain when you dabble there and then dabble back and dabble there and dabble back is because at every level of your being, you recognize that that's who you are. And you feel this yearning to be there more. And what we are saying to you is, friend, that is where you belong. That is your legacy. That's your birthright. That's who you are. And in the same way that without knowing it, you practiced your way out of that here and there, we're just encouraging you to practice your way back into it. That's all. Yes.
Okay, I'll be talking to you that some other time.
Now that's a hard act to follow. Where are you going to go from there? You are the one.
Hi. So, over the past couple of years, I've used my understanding of these ideas to be very deliberate in creating some things that I very much wanted, without a doubt.
Good. And it's nice to be able to see the exact correlation between your thoughts and feelings and manifestations. That's really a confidence building exercise, isn't it? Yes. It's fun to look at indicators. And we want to say to you, it's as fun, well, not as fun for you, but it's as fun for us. It's as fun, no matter whether the indicator is something wanted or not wanted, to notice that correlation.
Yeah, it is.
Esther will say, I did that, if it's something she really wants. And if it's something she doesn't want so much, she'll say, I did that. It's really good to know you did it. Yes.
So, this has all made my stream move so fast. And I haven't been able to keep up with it relative to these particular things that I created. I stepped into them, and it's produced so much more contrast. And it's culminated in particular in the last 3 months that have been probably the most difficult 3 months that I've gone through in conscious memory.
Well, when you're a car that's going 100 miles an hour and hits a tree is a bigger problem than a car that's going 5 miles an hour and hits a tree. So, what we're talking about, in fact, Esther has been making notes as we've been streaming the next book that is coming, that is actually 3 book contracts out, but it is the next book that is coming. And it is about managing the contrast. It is about learning to manage the gap between your habit of thoughts and where the contrast has led you in terms of your expansion. And so, when you ask for big things and you're not up to speed with them, it feels more traumatic. It's not more traumatic. In other words, we would like you to, when you are wanting to hear a particular radio station in your vehicle, and you're not on the station that you want, do you bring your life to an end over it? Do you pull over to the side of the road and say, I wanted 98.7 FM, and I got 98.4 FM. I'm a failure. Or do you just adjust the dial? Because it's not different. Adjusting the dial, adjusting the vibrational variance by choosing a thought that moves you closer. The only difference is with your radio dial, you think you can spin it or punch it more rapidly, where with your emotional dial, because law of attraction tends to hold you in patterns where you are, it's a more gradual adjustment. But anytime someone says to us, this is the most difficult time of my life, we have to say, then you weren't paying attention, you weren't paying attention, you weren't. In other words, contrast puts you over here, and occasionally you look over there, and you have a wonderful experience of being over there, but you have to practice maintaining a vibration that holds you in that place. So if you're letting the contrast of your life cause you to become and cause you to become and cause you to become, and you're not at the same time making efforts of staying in vibrational alignment with it, we can see how the ride can get a little rough. But it's easy to fix. Any time doesn't matter. There is no place from which you cannot move. There's no stuck. There's no true separation. There's nothing as dramatic as your words are making it sound. In other words, a better way of saying exactly the same thing would be, so I've been living some really big life, and my really big life has caused me to really put some wonderful things in my vibrational escrow. And I put them there incrementally, and so I didn't even really know what I was doing. I was just living life and putting it over there. And then I began to get a glimpse of what was over there, and I started to turn my attention to what was over there. And when I began making the effort at looking at who I'd really become, then, as you said, then my juices really began flowing. Then the energy stream got faster and faster. And now, different than before, now I've done all of that. It is intolerant for me to not be up to speed with that. I used to be able to stand to not be up to speed when my stream was slower. And I even used to be able to stand to not be up to speed when I had a fast-moving stream and I didn't know about my fast-moving stream. But now I know about my fast-moving stream, and now I know what negative emotion means, and now I know what vibrational indicators are. Now I must be the deliberate creator that I was born to be. And now I've chosen, I'm even doing it here while I'm sitting in the hot seat, I've taken to beating up on myself when I'm not in perfect alignment. And that's the part that we want to soothe within you. We want you to practice the idea, I am where I am, and where I am is okay. Where I am is enough, and it's got to be enough because I am where I am, and I can't be anywhere other than where I am. Because you can't change your now. You can't, in your now, do enough practicing to change your vibrational relationship right now. You can't change it enough to make any big vibrational adjustments. You can't do it. They've been coming upon you slowly. They've been coming upon you slowly, and you can become more acutely aware. And you can be softer and gentler to yourself. You can be nicer to yourself. You can give yourself the benefit of the doubt more. You can relax more. You can reach for the feeling of relief more. But you can't change things this red hot minute with your behavior or with your action or with your words or even with your vibration. Your vibration is not going to change things instantly because you can't change your vibration instantly. Oh, isn't that worth writing down? I cannot change my vibration instantly. I can't. Law of attraction doesn't allow it. If I've been practicing it here, even though the larger part of me is here, I can't all of a sudden do this until the moment you croak. The moment you croak, there'll be that adjustment. But until then, it's a gradual thing. So we think all that's happened. What happens with so many of you is life causes you to become this, and you do this. Then life causes you to become this, and you do this. Then life causes you to be this, and you do this. So sometimes when you're not paying attention, life causes you to move out there faster than your ability to keep, not your ability, than your willingness to care about how you feel and your willingness to keep up with it. And so sometimes you get your stream moving so fast that it feels extra dramatic. But just stop and say, it isn't. Where I am's all right. Where I am's all right. And bless the life I've lived for putting that out there. And isn't it wonderful that I know what to do? And aren't I doing a good job on this and this and this and this and this? In other words, you've got to soothe yourself before you'll close the gap. We have never seen anyone even one time, and we've seen everyone. We have never seen anyone even one time close their gap even a little bit while they were regretting not closing their gap. We've never seen anyone improve their vibrational relationship one time while they were beating up on themselves for where they are. You've got to make peace with where you are, even if where you are is really where you don't want to be. You got to make peace with it or you can't close the gap. It's not possible. You cannot close the gap by being dissatisfied. Isn't that interesting? And people say, well, that's screwy because if I start being satisfied with where I am, won't I stay there? We say, no, You haven't heard the whole story. Remember, your life has caused you to do the becoming. Being satisfied with where you are just lets you close the gap. Complaining about where you are doesn't let you move. Criticizing yourself for not being somewhere else doesn't let you move. Blaming others for not being more cooperative doesn't close the gap. The only thing that closes the gap are positive aspects, appreciation, self-love, giving yourself a break, reaching for feelings of relief. The only thing that closes the gap is making an effort to be satisfied with where you are. Satisfied with where you are and eager for more is the eternal stance of the source within you. That's who you are. Good.
Thank you.
Best thing you could ever ask yourself is, what is it that I'm thinking about you that is lining me up with who I am? Or what is it that I'm thinking about you that is keeping me from lining up with who I am? When you say, what is it about you that's bothering me? You render yourself powerless because you can't change whatever they're doing. You try. You try. You try with your influence. You try with your rewards and punishments. You try with your barricades and your sanctions. You try with your grounding them. You try to control their behavior so that you can appreciate more what they're doing because they've improved it. But you cannot control what anyone else does. So when you think even a little bit that how you feel is dependent upon what someone else is doing, you feel smothered, like someone has pressed a pillow to your face, and that's what makes you get mean and angry, because you're attempting the impossible. But when you put it in the framework where you have power, when you say, what is it that I'm thinking about you? What is it about my perspective about this? What is it about my vantage point? What is it about my thoughts over which I have total control that is keeping me feeling this way and separated from who I am? Now you've put yourself back in power. So now you can say, oh, it's that thing that I keep prodding and poking about you. It's that thing that I'm focused upon. It's that about you that I'm using as my excuse to separate me from me. It's that about you that I'm doing. I'm doing it to myself, and I'm using that about you as my excuse to do it to myself, but I'm doing it to myself. That's freedom. That's empowerment. That's deliberate creation. That's deliberately thinking. That's directing thought. That's being the source within you. That's what the source within you does, always, every time. The source within you never observes your weakness ever. Not ever. Not ever. But you came forth willing to observe a little weakness in order to ask for more strength, and the source within you turns undivided attention toward the strength. You see how it works? So the only thing that ever goes wrong in anybody's personal experience, and the only thing that ever goes wrong is a personal thing that goes wrong in your personal experience, is you practice thoughts that are different from the thoughts within you, which is so screwy. How in the world could you get to doing that for very long when every time you thought one of those screwy thoughts, you had negative emotion that let you know you were doing it? So how do you get off kilter when you've got in the moment instantaneous guidance to let you know the relationship between who you really are and who you are allowing yourself to be? How is it that you could get so far out of whack with that? You stopped caring about how you feel. You stopped paying attention to your emotions, and you started paying attention to the response of others. Their frown or their smile became more important to you than your gut, you see. And that's why I want to say to our friend who sat in the hot seat and is not there right now, that's why sometimes you find yourself in a place where it feels like things are going extra wrong. They're not going extra wrong. They're in the process of righting themselves. You're just extra aware of the vibrational discord that you weren't aware of for a while. And it's such a good thing. We love it when your world gets turned upside down. We love it when it feels like everything's going screwy. We love that because what that means is you're finally aware of the vibrational difference between who you really are. And without that awareness, you're just not going to know. You're not going to know. If you're not listening to the way you feel, you can't possibly be deliberate about your creation. And if you're not deliberate about your creation, you can't possibly have any fun because that's why you came. You came forth to expand deliberately and to experience the expansion in a joyous environment. And are you refreshed? Actually, you're quite full of yourself. That is a good thing. Just gotta push your button. There you are.
Good morning.
It is.
This happened on the way to here this morning. I was walking, I was almost here, and I realized I had my flip-flops on, and I remembered how cold it is. So I said, damn, as in damn ships. But, and then I realized I've been doing that for so long, but it's usually an indication of something that gives me time to change.